Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video. Thank you for watching the first video of the video series about how to attack a WordPress site with OWASP Zap. The first thing we're going to do is create ourselves a Ubuntu server. Ubuntu is open source, and on top of this Ubuntu server we will install a web server. So without any further ado, this is the first video how to set up your own Ubuntu server with the use of VirtualBox. So you have you can also download instant VMs, but I went for this manual server installation. So I just download the ISO file that you see here, and it's not, you can't find it here no more. Without any further ado, we're gonna go into the VirtualBox manager. So here you see the virtual machines I have on this machine, which is Kali Linux, which is a pen testing tool. I have Ubuntu, this is the client with the graphical user interface, pfSense 2.5 and OpenSense. So this is the graphical user interface, but I downloaded the server version, which only is accessible through the command line, which is fine. But we're gonna set it up right now. We're gonna create a new virtual machine, and we're gonna call this Ubuntu Server. It's a type of Linux indeed, and we're gonna use the 64-bit version, since we have 16 gigabytes of RAM in this machine. Next, we're gonna allow, this is the RAM, so random access memory. We're gonna give this 2 gigabytes of RAM. Next, we're gonna create a new virtual hard drive, and we're gonna use a VirtualBox disk image. The physical size of the hard drive gonna be dynamically allocated, and we're gonna give this machine we're gonna give it 15 gigabytes of storage. So this is the first. Now we will go into settings. When it comes to the system, let's see, this is general system. So 2 gigs of RAM. We want to make sure that all 4 processor cores work. Let's see, storage. We are going to select an optical drive. We're going to select Ubuntu Server. You see that the desktop environment is bigger than the server version, because this is all command line based. We open this. Yes. Okay, audio, network. Let me see how I set up my pfSense machine real quick. So we go to network. This is the bridged adapter, and this is the internal network. I think we need to do the same here. So we go to network, this is bridged adapter, and this is the internal network LAN 1. So with this in mind, your Ubuntu server can access the internet with NAT, and you can connect through it inside this virtual machine, because I'm going to connect to this Ubuntu server using this Ubuntu installation. And the network settings here are the following, also NAT, and the internal network is LAN 1. So it does have internet access, and at the same time you can connect to LAN 1, which are all these machines are connected to LAN 1. So I can, when this is running and it has an IP address given by a DHCP server, I can connect to it. Now let's fire this up and see what happens. We're gonna go Ubuntu desktop, no, OpenSense, no, we have to We're gonna add a thing. It's the server version here. Yes, choose this one and start it up. So you see where you can get the image file from, just ubuntu.com, download server. I went for the manual server configuration and I set it up inside a virtual machine, VirtualBox manager. That's what I use it for. And I'm on Windows 10 at the moment. So let's see what happens. See if I can make this bigger. It's checking its integrity, the data integrity. So it's probably checking some hash values of this ISO file, and it's starting up. What you do right now is like you set up Ubuntu Server, and this is the LTS version, which stands for the long-term support version of this distribution. Ubuntu Server, it's a Linux server. It's pretty stable. It doesn't use a lot of system resources. I've been running Ubuntu for a number of years already, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. And last year in 2020, in April, they launched the 2004 LTS, which means again long-term support, and this one is supported for the next 5 years with security updates. So this is nice. If you want to set up your own home server, you can, you know, do whatever, host music, things like that. Let's go over to the installation menu. Pick English. We verify that we have an English keyboard. Done. We have a NIC, 2 NICs, Ethernet. Let's see, Intel. Continue without network. They have different names. We're just gonna continue. Proxy address, repositories, done. Repositories are basically where you can get the updates from when it comes to Linux. You go to the command line, or inside the graphical user interface you have an application called software, and you can see if there are updates on all the packages that you have. Okay, let's go. Yes, use guided disk. Good. Done. There will be no loss of data just because I just created this virtual disk image. So it's fine. Just follow me what I'm doing. Continue, your name, InfoSec, InfoSec hub, username, InfoSec. Okay, now that's easy. The username InfoSec and the password I know myself. We have to install an open SSH server because that's a way to connect to this machine through SSH, which is all terminal based. So yes, import SSH identity. You can import your SSH keys from GitHub. This is fine. Just make sure you have open SSH server installed. Do that. And now it's getting the rest of the stuff completing here. It's installing the system. Yeah, so basically we are installing a Ubuntu server at the moment. This server is going to be the basis on which we're going to install a web server, and in that web server we're going to deploy WordPress. And I will just download a recent copy of WordPress and just check the vulnerability databases around the internet to find vulnerabilities, and also try to use some of the tools that are packed into Kali Linux. Kali Linux is also open source, and it's packed full of tools, database hacking tools, web application tools, And we can see if we can find more information on the website and if we can gain access to the website and use this tool and see what kind of information comes back and how we can use that. So we really will dig into hacking a little bit more, think about the perspective and think about the power of the tools that hackers have. And when you know that, you can do something against that because you know the kind of tools that a hacker has, and then you need to just harden your system. Doesn't mean that you can't get hacked, but the more security, the better, and you need to harden your system to also make sure that it doesn't provide too much information to a hacker. So we'll go over this all together, and this is the first video. This is the first step, setting up the system, setting up your own server. Now I'm doing this inside a VirtualBox, but you can also do it and set it up on an old computer that you have laying around. Let's say, for instance, you have a 10-year-old computer, your old gaming computer or whatever it is. It still has a functioning motherboard, CPU and everything. Just make sure that you equip it with a dual NIC, so network interface card. You need to have two. Because it's easier. You can also run your firewall on top of it. But if you just want your own server, just start with an old computer, right? You just format the disk with whatever OS you have on it, just erase it, burn the ISO on a CD or on a USB drive, and just set up your own server. Let's see, this doesn't look good. We have to remove the installation media. We need to go to settings. We need to go to storage. This is empty. Let's see if it boots now. Booting the server. Let's see what happens. This looks better. No installation media was present, so I don't know where the error came from, but I will show you again. Now it looks like it's starting correctly. So here it's empty now, and earlier I selected the image of this Ubuntu server just to set it up, and this is SATA controller, so this is my my hard drive basically, and I use this just to boot the system. And now it's empty, which is great, because if everything went well, then all the changes will be saved to the VDI, which is the virtual disk image, or the hard drive. Sorry, I'm always confused about these things. I'll show you again. So this is basically your boot disk, and this is your hard drive, the VDI. And I give it 15 gigs, and now it's using 2 gigs of the server. So let's go back to the server. You see that only the server is running. You get a snapshot of the machine and the state of it now, and we're gonna see if it's gonna boot. Start job is running. For wait for network to be configured. No limit. Let's see if we can. No, it takes 1.5 minutes. It's gone up. No limit. Network to be configured. Okay. Hopefully we get an IP address, because otherwise the server will not be reachable. Let's go back to network, bridged adapter. Let's see, maybe we need to use NAT. This one also got internet. Yes, I think we need to use NAT, and we're going to boot it again. So adapter internal, and here we're going to just use NAT. Okay. Let's see if we can reboot the server machine. reset. Okay, let's not do that yet. InfoSec hub login. Let's see, it's still doing some checks. SSH, host key fingerprints, SHA-2 algorithm. Okay. Used failback data source. Let's try to reboot this guy. Machine, reset. Yes, we want to reset this machine. Now with different network settings. Let's see what's happening. So far, so good. Okay. Also, because you run this on a virtual machine and you have multiple virtual machines, I'll show you. It does take something from your computer. Let's see. This is the memory. It's now using almost 6 gigabytes of the 16 I have. And I'm running nothing else on my computer. You know, yeah, I'm recording this video. Of course, that's what I'm doing. But it takes some memory, so do this on a little bit faster computer. And you can imagine when this server is running and I want to connect with Ubuntu to this server, then you have 2 OSs on top of this OS, which is Windows 10. And it will take some memory, and sometimes it will take some time if you don't have enough memory. So let's go back to the machine. Now it's checking for the network again. I guess we just need to be a little bit patient, and let's just start this in the meanwhile. This is the graphical user interface. This is also Ubuntu. We're gonna switch to this one now. And hopefully by that time then the server has booted and we can connect to it. This way you also get to see the difference between the graphical user interface of Ubuntu and the server version. So let's see. Can I still switch? Yes. Still checking for the network. Okay. Hopefully it gets through. Okay, this is the Ubuntu machine. I will have to adjust the screen settings. Let's see. Okay, this is looking good. Okay. So we go into the terminal, and when the server boots, I hope I can connect to it. Just a second. This looks like it's done loading. So we're gonna go back to our graphical user interface, and we're gonna try to SSH into the machine. Okay, let's see. Let's see the server. InfoSec hub login. Okay, we're in. This server is running, and this is the IP address 10.02.15. And let's see if we can ping this here. Ping 10.02.15. So you see we can ping this machine. Let's see if we can SSH into the machine. Wait a second. I don't know how the device is called. How is it called? Ubuntu Server. Okay. Let's see. What is the machine called? Ubuntu? No. Okay, we can ping this machine. We can ping it. That means we can connect to it. That's a good thing. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. It basically means what you see here in front of you is the Linux machine. And if it has internet connection, I will just check it out. Apt get update. Apt get update. Okay, it has internet connection. Because what I'm doing now is updating the system. I'm updating the system over the internet. So this virtual machine is connected to the internet at this very moment, which is great. It's exactly what we want. And now we're going to use the same thing to upgrade the machine. Here it has packages waiting for us, and we want to install this. So that's a good thing. This machine can be updated over the internet, which is exactly what we want for our server. We want to make sure that it stays secure and that, you know, we can have the availability to update for the next couple of years. I don't know yet exactly how to connect to the server using SSH, because I'm not really sure what the name of the computer is. I have a live Ubuntu server here running, so I know how to log in with SSH, but I don't know the name of the machine yet. I might have missed it. So I will check that out, so I can connect through the graphical user interface to our server, which is exactly what we also already need to connect to the website that we're going to deploy later on. Also, when we have internet connection, I know that I can download Apache from the website around the globe. And I can set up a web server, and that's exactly what we want. So this is basically the first step to set up your Ubuntu machine, and that's exactly what I just did. This video is a little bit longer than I expected, but I just, you know, trial and error, had to show you guys how it works. Basically, we can reach the server based on the IP address that you see here. And the IP address later on will be displayed again, but I saw that when the server was done loading, you get an IP4, so an IP version 4 address, and with that one you can connect to the server, and that works. So the network stuff, I can connect here to the server, and the server has internet access. That's been set up correctly. And again, you all do it here inside of a VirtualBox manager if you have Windows 10, just like me. And what's important is here the network settings. I struggled with it a little bit earlier, but here you set a network address translation. So this is basically adapter 1 for your internet, and adapter 2 is for the internal network. So if you want to connect between the different virtual machines, you need to make sure that you have an internal network, and you can give it a name here. So that's what I did, and the network settings for this Ubuntu machine are exactly the same. Here for my pfSense machine, I will also show you just real quick. This is a little bit different because this this firewall doesn't have internet connection. This is just really running the firewall in a closed off section inside this VirtualBox manager. But anyway, that's too much information. We have Ubuntu client running here and Ubuntu server running here, and the server is still updating. So this is basically the first video in this video series. We set up our own server now, and this is just the platform, the server software on which you can run certain things. And the first thing we'll run on top of this server will be a web server, and that web server we're going to deploy WordPress on top of that. And that WordPress site we're going to attack with Kali Linux. So yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a strange and long video, but yeah, I just showed you the whole process. It's also no edits and no nothing. It's just, it is what it is. When we have this server running with a web server, and Kali Linux will be able to use to attack this web server and the WordPress site on top of it. So yeah, without any further ado, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.